Welcome once more. So, this is a new start for an introduction. What I go for is an Ironman solo, well, it's certainly not recommended to just do that right off the bat. Just start a normal party, and if you find that it is bearable, you can restart with like a 4-man and 2-man and whatnot, and eventually play a solo. But you can also just start and just see how you manage, right? Thing is, if you start like this, you won't get far, and that might be frustrating actually. Anyway, if you play a solo or any game really, you will always start at the beach, and the beach is actually the tutorial kind of. So it teaches you right off the bat whether you are in what's it above your depth. Anyway, the beach is a good teacher. But so now that I play an Ironman solo, it's the first time that I play a multi-class character, and I play this character. That is to say, I start as a fighter. Why? Well, I do that because I do want to max out 2 attributes and leave the others as low as possible. I will get into that later, but it is generally a good strategy for a multi-class character. So I will max out strength and dexterity, and everything else is relatively low. That's only possible because I do not have many required attributes. For that matter, you could, for instance, play a mage. He would be even better if you want to max intelligence and dexterity, for instance. There are other options which only have a few requirements, but yeah, well, the casters mostly. Also, the rogue should be fine. That's the ideal start, to just have low requirements. And I do want to max strength and dexterity. For that, there's really nothing better than a fighter. Next up, I play a human. That is also, well, more or less the default for a multi-class character, and it's generally good in a solo, because usually you do have all kinds of characters, and one is like a ranger perhaps, or a psionic or something, and has high senses anyway, so you find everything if you search stuff, and you know, one guy is a good tank and has vitality and whatnot, and if you have a solo you just have one guy and he has to get everything done, so you will need all attributes even if they are not really necessary for your class. Not all attributes, it's not entirely true. So for instance, if you don't cast at all, you really don't need intelligence, piety. Well, most people neglect it, and that's okay. I also heard from some people who maxed it out for magic resistance. I don't think it's that powerful, but well, why not? There's freedom to do stuff like that. Vitality will always be important for everyone. Intelligence and piety will still help you level up. Intelligence will help you level the skills up, and piety, I think it says that you should level up a little faster. Also, it gives stamina. So yeah, even those skills, even if you don't use them at all, it's good to have them at a good average. And therefore, the human, who has 15 more points total, and well, everything at 45 for a start, so pretty average profile, he has that advantage of more attribute points. Of course, he has no bonus resistances, as opposed to all others. Hobbit would also be a good choice. Also has, I think, 10 bonus points compared to other races overall in his attributes. So if that suits your character, Hobbit is also just fine. And well, if I play party, I usually, well, just play all the others. Because the human is so unspecialized, I would usually go for a heavily specialized guy, like the Lizard Man for the fighter, for instance. I mean, his resistance problems here become apparent in Beijing, so some people hate him for that, but I would still say the Lizardman fighter would be one instance of a really good combination. Anyway, so I want to do everything. I want to play human. That's even more true for a multi-class character, because I will actually use all my attributes for requirements. Then next I play a female, simply because there's that early item which gives stamina regeneration, and well, that's just very good to have. It allows to run indefinitely without replenishing stamina in between. It does nothing else, but it's great. And here's what I go for. The normal fighter would max out these two, and then we'll go for speed or vitality, I guess. Probably vitality, simply because it's higher already, and also because it's a very powerful attribute, and because the fighter has the most hit points, and vitality bonuses are percentages of the hit points. So while the mage has the lowest hit points, and you might argue that he needs vitality most due to it, the fighter profits most in terms of absolute hit points gained. So usually I would do something like this, I guess, more or less. But I do this multi-class character thing. So I shave off one level here. I mean, I want to reach 100. So, well, 64, 67, 70, that's the numbers. So 69, well, that doesn't help. It doesn't save a level. The last level I will just put 1 point in it, but I don't get there any sooner. I can as well go for 67. So that's the normal maximum in terms of levels I need to max it out. So I go one level down here. That's my contribution for a multi-class character, 3 points in strength. I could as well put them in dexterity. I could go like this, but I thought I want to max them out simultaneously, so I have a power spike at level, what's it, 13 I believe, no 12, yeah 13, alright, 12 levels gained makes level 13, then those are maxed out, and I want to keep them simultaneous. I mean, I did that differently last time around, and I had a bit more strength. I find it a bit more powerful, I think, but well, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Alright, on we go. This will not be fully explained now. What did I forget? I forgot this. Yes, I need a lot of piety for later development, because I want to eventually become a multi-class character including a bishop, so I will need piety 55, vitality 55. I will also need speed at least 50 for the rogue, which I want to have, and senses 55 for the bishop, and intelligence 55 for the bishop. So I still have a lot of points to invest in all these attributes, one could think. So on we go. So the most powerful here would be to simply invest into your primary combat skills. The weapon skills do more effectively, but then that's of course only if you actually use that weapon, if you use a sword in this case. While close combat is a tad less effective, perhaps not even so, because the fighter gets a bonus due to that. Well, whatever. I don't really do the number crunching. Don't know, it's not my approach, but I think this the weapon skills probably still more effective. Either way, close combat does of course help with all weapons, so that would be a standard start, but I don't go for that. I think I can grind those up, it's fine. The start is a routine, I have it covered. I use several different weapons, so that is not really effective to invest into. But what I do want is artifacts 6 actually. With 6 one can identify light heal potions, and there's an exploit to allow grinding this up as soon as you can identify anything. And light heal potions are a good thing, because you always find lots of those, and it's not difficult to get this routine going. Next is throwing and sling. That's specifically aiming at the small spiders. The small spiders are kind of the boss of the lower monastery. It should be Gregor, but Gregor can be dodged relatively easily, and the small spiders, well, that's a bit more tricky. So the standard solution with the party would be to just throw several cherry bombs onto them. So you need an alchemist for that. I think Byagu in one of his speedruns even had 2, and perhaps not least for that purpose, I'm not sure. In any case, these are really powerful to get past the small spiders. I don't think I will really use that to the fullest, partly because I will not be able to level this up much, but I might still use a cherry bomb, perhaps something else to get rid of them. And well, whatever I come up with here, it's likely 8, just the next level 2. That's very low. I can still fumble, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but it can also succeed. So this is like a lottery ticket. I just hope it makes the most difficult early fight a bit easier. Alright, so I have these utility skills, and well, I really don't need those, and then it's combat. So I go for close combat, simply because I use multiple weapons, as mentioned, and don't really know which one to invest to, really. So that helps anyway. And here we go. Alright, I have done all that already. Here's my character, off we go. Actually, all classes have their perks. Mages and psionics are really hard in a solo because they are so squishy, they die so easily. You have cloth armor and the lowest hit points, and even the resistances are pretty bad. Their normal resistances are good even, but they just don't have access to all the equipment that gives resistances, so those are really not recommended for a solo. And usually I would always play vanilla some class and, well, stick to it. But because it's Ironman, I will use this multi-class character, which is undoubtedly more powerful. Alright, that was unlucky. I found a bunch of trash here. I mean, this would be nice for other characters, but I already have 4 lower armor. And, well, some darts and quarrels or whatever. It's just not what I was looking for. The ideal find for me would have been the Amulet of Static, but there's a few other items. Round Shield, for instance, is nice. And a Spear is nice, and a Spear is in fact not only nice, it's required. And therefore I will use this startup technique, which is applicable to all games. In party games it's less effective, so to speak, because you can only do it a number of times. Okay, this is all irrelevant, ignore this. What I do is take a new character, I'm offered the equipment of the new character, so I get that. I did still start with a fighter. You could say it's totally irrelevant what I start with, because I replace it anyway. But that's not entirely true, because even if all that remains of the fighter is the equipment, that's still the best equipment I can have. So for that, the fighter is really great as well. The Lord also has very good equipment, but other than that, the fighter pretty much has the best equipment. And this leather armor equipment he has, almost anyone can use it, besides the mage and the psionic, of course. So that's really great to have on anyone. You could start with like 6 fighters and then choose whatever you will, as long as it's not mages and psionics. You would probably not regret that. Although other classes have other advantages. I think a priest brings a few light heals, for instance, and also he can bring a mace or a quarterstaff. Well, the Lord has very nice 2-weapon equipment, and his armor is not too bad either, so there are a few options. But you should generally start with the most expensive, which I did, and then you can buy some extras. Like I bought a spear, and well, this leather helm comes free with it. So, alright, shouldn't forget, I need to change back, so, same thing. No, wait, it's like this. Alright. Alright, so now, finally, I cannot buy this. You see, fighter equipment costs 600 gold, so I couldn't have bought that. You can buy 1 or 2 cheap equipment options, something like that. So for a party it's still 1 or 2 and less effective overall, because you have so many characters and you can only help them out a little. But for a solo character, 1 or 2 extra equipments, that basically means you always get ideal starting equipment. Well, can't just buy a bunch of potions from the priest now or something, but I do have everything I need. Alright, so here we go.